Merriam's Online Academy. Today we are going to be learning The Entertainer by Scott Joplin. This was actually my favorite piece to play when I was young. To purchase a copy of the music that I will be using, feel free to follow the link in the description below. In this tutorial, I'm going to be going through the entire song section by section and breaking it down for you. Okay, so let's start with the introduction. I'm going to play the first couple of bars up until right here. So a couple of things to notice right off the bat. We are in the key of C major. We have no sharps and no flats, which is great. And secondly, our time signature is a C with a line through it, which is 2-2, or it's actually pretty much exactly the same as 4-4. So our first note of the song starts way up here and is a D. It's a ledger line on the staff, and oftentimes when I have ledger lines, I write them in. So the very first note is a D, and we get this high pattern up here, starting with finger 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And ties are very, very common in this piece. You'll see one right here. So I'm just going to cross out that second note. So watch your counting really, really carefully. I'm going to do that one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then we actually do the exact same thing in the second bar, but down the octave. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Same tie, same fingering, same notes. The left hand in the third bar starts the same way, but we get a little bit different fingering right here at the ending. I'm just going to make a note of it right there. So we start the same, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we've got this cross under here on the G so that we can go down to this G here. So that makes a lot of sense to do that. Let me just show you that left hand one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then if we add the right hand chord, which is actually a G major chord. So let's just hear that one more time before we go on to the A section. So here we go. I'll do it a little bit slower. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And there's your intro. So let's jump into the A section next. So we're going to start right here. And for now, because this is the end of the page, we'll go right to the end of the first page. So our A section actually officially begins where I wrote the A, but we have a 2-note pickup here, which is the D and D sharp. All right, now this happens a lot, this little pattern here. Let me just show you what these first couple of bars sound like, and then we'll break it down. So there we go. So very familiar tune, very familiar pattern. So we start with our thumb on the D here. So there's our thumb. Let's take a look at the right hand first. And then on the right on where I've written that A, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now I've mentioned before that the ties are really, really common all the way through this piece. So here we've got a tie there. And I just want to write in the counting for this first bar because if you get the counting correct right at the beginning, it's going to make it easier for you all the way through the piece. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's take a look at that really, really carefully. I'm going to do those 2 pickups again. So 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Sometimes it's unusual to have a note on an and, especially when you've had a held note before, but that's the rhythm of this piece. In the left hand, we've got our C here, G, this pattern. So let's put that together and see how that works. And you'll notice here, I'm just going to draw a line. So these notes come together, and then these ones all do not, and then these notes come together. So this is how you're lining up your right hand and your left hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And again, because this measure comes back so many times, make sure you take the time to get all of that notes and fingering and timing perfect. Let's move on to the second bar. So we'll take a look at the left hand first, just because we have more left hand notes than right hand. So we've got a finger 4 on the F, sometimes when you have patterns like this, it's easier to play them in solid triads first. So you get a real sense for the full chord there. This is an F triad, and this is a C major. So then we have it broken like this. And then the right hand has been holding, and then it comes in right at the end of the bar, just with these 3 notes. So here's how that bar would look. And there you have the first 2 bars of the A section. So let me just put those together so you can hear how all of that sounds. And now we're dying to know what's on the next page, so let's move on. So the next page here, I'm going to break this up. I'm going to go right until here, which is kind of the end of that first little section. I'll play those 2 bars for you, and then we'll talk through it. So in the right hand, one more time, we've got a tie. So watch out for this E tie note here. We're starting finger 4 on E. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So there's the right hand. The left hand. So this here, the first 2 notes, make a C triad. Then you're keeping pinky on the G and just moving your thumb up 1. So together that looks like this. And then the next bar. So this right here just creates a regular C triad. All right, so one more time those 2 bars. So the next couple of bars are going to look really familiar. They're exactly the same as what you had on the first page. Now we're going to go into something different. So I'm going to start from right here, and we're going to go to there. So this next part goes like this. More complicated in the right hand, so let's go over that first. They have a different fingering suggestion than what I actually do. On their fingering, they've got a thumb on the F sharp, but I prefer, so I'm just going to write an alternate fingering suggestion for you above the staff. Notice that once again we have this tie here. I go 2, 1, and then back to the 3. So that's another suggestion if you'd like to try out a little bit different fingering, if you find the thumb on the black key to be a little bit uncomfortable. So here's that right hand one more time. So 4 and 1 and 2 and tie and 4 and. And then the left hand in here, we're starting with our 4th finger on the E flat. Let's just write a 4 in there. We have this twice, which again, if you play it as a solid chord, it'll help you get a sense for your orientation there. And then some G's. So all together, that looks like this. 1 and 2. And then I'm going to keep going. It's going to sound awfully familiar. And this also the same as what we've had. So let's move on now to page 3, and I'm going to go right up until here. This we've had before. Like I said, lots of repeats in this song. So I'm going to start now right here, and we're going to talk through this section. This is a little bit of new material. Here's how it sounds. So a bunch of these parts also repeat. So in the right hand, we're just basically playing C's, D's, and E's, and that's it. But watch again for that tie. We have a tie in this bar, tie in that bar, tie in that bar. That's what creates the rhythm for this song. So we start with C, D, E. tie, same bar, tie, tie again. So you'll notice that this bar and this bar, in the right hand anyway, are exactly the same. And then we have just a slightly different pattern to finish off the right hand. In the left hand, we've got a really nice descending pattern here. So what you might notice in the left hand, if you take a look at the notes, we have a C, B flat, A flat, G. So we just keep going down one note in the left hand, like that. So then we have a couple of upper notes. Back to the G. In this bar, we go to F both times. In this bar, up to G, up to F. And then finishing that off. So here's how that would sound with both hands together. I'll do it really nice and slow. Now you have two options here. We have a first ending and a second ending. So if you play the first ending, which is right here, you can repeat and do that whole section again, or you can jump ahead to the second ending, which is right here, and we can continue on with the song. So let me play the second ending for you this time. G, C. And then we have a whole new section, which is the B section. So let me play you just to the end of this page so you can get an idea of how the B section sounds, and then we'll break that down as well. So once again, we've got the ties in the right hand, and we've just got a couple of notes that repeat a few times. So I am starting from right here. We have our thumb on the E, and we'll go through the right hand by itself. So we go up to a G, tie, same notes. Then we need a new hand position, jumping to finger 5 on the E, like that. So let me just cross out those ties for you one more time, here and here. The left hand is quite straightforward here. It's actually just the C major triad again in root position, played in both bars. So let me do that hands together for you really, really slowly. And there you go. There's the first couple of bars of the B section. So moving on, let's do a nice another 2-bar chunk right here, and then you're going to start to notice a little bit of patterns. So in this 2 bars, sounds like this. So in our right hand, we've got a little bit of a fingering. Again, 2 and 1 starts off this pattern, which is great because it sets you up for all of those notes. So 2, 1. And then a jump up to the E. The left hand, fairly straightforward pattern. We're actually on an F triad. So we have that triad here, and then we go to an F minor. So the middle note here just goes down 1 semitone to make this chord into this chord. And then we've got the E. So together that would sound like this. And there we go. Now the next part, going to sound very familiar again. We just had this, and now we have something new. So let me jump in right here and play this part for you, and I'm going to stop right there. So the next 2 bars. So our right hand is on the G, all right, and we have and 4 and 1 and 2, and you want to do a finger switch there, Be careful of your rhythm in that bar. I'm just going to write it in for you. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So another one of these ties in the middle. But you don't have straight eighth notes in here, so you're going to want to watch the counting. So let me see that right hand one more time. 4 and 1 and 2, switch. Then the left hand here, we've got a couple of different patterns. We have this one, keep the D, and then we have that one. So again, practicing this would be helpful to start out. And then we've got a little descending line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, back to this, moving down. So very slowly, hands together, that would look like this. Switch. And then the next 2 bars, again familiar. This also the same. Now we have something new to finish off this page. So starting right here, this is how this would sound. Once again, those ties right here, right there. So the left hand started out with this pattern and then jumped into this. So that bottom note, just up a semitone, and then up again into this pattern. Up a semitone, up again. And the right hand right here, so we're starting on our thumb. So right there we have a nice ascending and then descending pattern. Same notes going up and then coming back down again. So let's take a look at that right hand one more time. You're going to want to do this fingering right there to make sure that you are set for those higher notes. So 1, 2, 1. Here's how that would look with both hands together. I'll do it nice and slow. Now we just have one little section left here. We're on to the last page. So let me play the first 2 bars here. Again, we have a first ending and a second ending to choose from. So if you want to repeat that section, you would learn the first ending. Sometimes we choose not to do the repeats, in which case you would just do the second ending. So here's how the first ending looks. So you can hear how that's going to repeat and go back to the B section that we just did. So the right hand here, let's just double check what finger we came from. So we were thumb on the G. So this is going to be a finger 2 right there. So right hand. Right here, once again, watch your counting really carefully. I'm going to write it in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then another one of those ties. So 1 and 2. Now we have some sixth here that just descend in a row. So 3 and 4 and then the left hand. We've had this pattern before. So we're going from that to that and together. That's going to, and then, then in the next bar, we're just coming down almost a C triad, but adding a D in the end there. So if we put that together, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Then if you're going to repeat, you're going to do this. Or let's show you what that looks like with the second ending. So I'm going to jump to the second ending this time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we have a C, G, C. Now your second option is to jump back into. So when you go back to the beginning or it says here, basically what we're looking for is DSL Coda. So we're looking for the sign, which kind of looks like a dollar sign with a couple of dots like that, which we will find right back on the first page, right here. So if you do the repeats, you can go back to the beginning and start right back at that A section, this part again. And then you're going to look for the Coda sign. So you go through all the way through this page, and at the top of the third page, you've got this sign here, to Coda. So there, because you want to end this song eventually, otherwise it turns into the never-ending song. So we want to end it eventually, so we go until we see the Coda, and then we jump ahead to page 5, right here, and here we have the Coda. So the Coda is going to sound very familiar. You've actually had this part before. It's just actually the last bar that's a little bit different. So let me just play that for you. So just that last chord, that's the only thing that's a little bit different right in here. So we've got the C, a G, and because we're in C major, we want to end with a C chord. So you can have a C on the pinky here, C on the pinky here, and there's the end of the song. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check out my full performance video of The Entertainer, as well as the pro tips and other videos on our channel.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching Merriam's Online Academy. Check back here for more videos and don't forget to subscribe below.